What's up everybody? In today's video, I'm going to share with you a couple of tips that I've picked up along the way of owning a home. If you're new to home ownership or you've had one for a long time, you need to know how to do these things and avoid having to call a professional and save yourself some big money. My first tip is super simple, but it can lead to big issues if neglected, and that's to be sure to change out your air filters every 3 months or so. You want to be sure to locate all of them because you might have more than one depending on the size of your home. I've seen them on the walls, in ceilings and floors, and even on the HVAC unit itself. In our first home, we went 2 years without changing the one on the unit because I never knew that it was there. These filters come in a ton of different sizes and ratings, and they have a wide range in price depending on where you get them from. Personally, I like to buy them in packs of 5 so they're cheaper, and I get the ones with a MERV rating of 11. This stands for Minimum Efficiency Reporting Value, and it's basically just a 1 to 20 rating of how small the particles are that it will catch. The higher the number, the smaller the particle. In our home, we have 3 of these. 2 of them are 20 by 40, and the third is 12 by 12. We have a couple of cats that shed a lot, so after a few months, ours are pretty dusty. Be sure to note the airflow on the filter to make sure that you install them correctly. Don't ask me how I know about this. Neglecting your filters will reduce the amount of air your HVAC system can draw, which will make it work a lot harder to heat and cool your home. This can lead to costly repairs down the road and shorten the life of your unit, so be sure to put this on your to-do list every quarter. My next tip is to know where your electrical panel is and how to flip a breaker. Now, don't be shy to call an electrician if you're not comfortable with this, because messing with your electrical system can cause a fire or even injury and death. If the power suddenly goes out on one set of lights or outlets, you probably have a tripped breaker. This is a safety feature in homes today to reduce the chances of an electrical fire due to too much power going through the wires. When I was a kid, I had a lot of pets and aquariums, and I was always tripping the breaker on the circuit that went to my room. Once you locate your panel, you simply look for the breaker that is pointing in a different direction than the rest of them, and it'll often have a little orange exposed. You simply flip the switch on that breaker and you should be back in business. If you want to be really fancy, you can get one of these tools that helps identify which outlets are on which breaker. Another thing to educate yourself on your home is where your GFCI outlets are, which is usually in your kitchen, bathrooms, or outside. These have a breaker on the outlet itself, and if they flip, it'll cut the power to everything else on that circuit. We have one in our spare bathroom, and it controls the exterior outlets, so save yourself a call to the electrician and know where these are. My third tip is probably something that I could make an entire video on, and that's garage door maintenance. This is another one that I'm guilty of neglecting, and that's why ours is super loud when it opens and closes. I do a lot of woodworking in the garage and make a ton of sawdust, so ours is really dirty. The good news is it's super easy to take care of. You just need a can of this garage door lube. Don't use regular old WD-40 here. You want something that is silicone based and specifically for garage doors. After cleaning off all of the dust and cobwebs from the spring and rail, you just go ahead and apply a liberal amount of the spray to the springs and anywhere else where metal meets metal. You'll want to spray the cables both while the door is up and while it's down, and all the hinges and moving parts of the door. Some of the angles might be a little awkward, so it helps to use the can flip straw to get that lube in the right spots. In the second home we lived in, before I knew that we were supposed to do this, the metal ribs on the door actually came loose and almost fell on my wife's car, so that we had to replace the entire door. If your opener is somewhat new, you probably don't have a metal chain that pulls the door open, but if you do, be sure to lube that up as well. In my case, it's a hard rubber cable, so I left it alone. You can also use some white lithium grease to lubricate the wheels inside the track, and again, you can be pretty liberal with this. Keeping your garage doors properly lubricated isn't only going to keep them running smooth and quiet, but it will prevent damage down the road and save you from having to call a repair company, or even worse, replacing the entire door and opener, which can cost thousands of dollars. You probably can't tell in this video, but this made a huge difference in the squeakiness of the door, and now my wife is inside, she can barely even hear it when I come home from work. Thinking about that more, I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. My penultimate tip is to clean out or replace all of the filters in your appliances. Ever get a funky smell in your dishwasher? A lot of people don't know this, but most dishwashers have a filter, and if you don't clean your dishes before loading them, then these things can get really nasty. We're pretty good about washing things off before we put them in here, but even still, this little screen filter can get pretty gross, so be sure to find out where yours is and rinse it off every few weeks. If you do a lot of cooking and you have a microwave over the cooktop with a vent fan, you probably have a couple filters up there as well. We're not big chefs, unfortunately, so there isn't any grease in these, but if you cook a lot, be sure to rinse these off or change them out completely every once in a while. If you get water out of your refrigerator, you have a filter in there somewhere as well. These aren't cheap, unfortunately, but we change ours every 6 months, and you can tell a difference in the way that the water tastes. Just be sure to get the right filter for your model and follow the directions to install it correctly. Also, when you do put the new filter in, you definitely want to run about a gallon of water through it before drinking so it cleans out all of the dust and stuff from inside the filter. Most people know to clean out their dryer lint trap, but be sure to get your vacuum out every now and again and really clean out all the dust and lint down in there. This will help keep your dryer running efficiently and lengthen its life as long as possible. This takes us right up into my last tip, and that's to clean out the exhaust hose from your dryer. This is a little more involved and requires some special tools, but it's a relatively easy chore to do every year to avoid a clog which could lead to a fire. I got this drill attachment that's specifically made to clean out all the dust and lint out of the hose, and it has several extensions so it can go as deep inside your house as needed. You don't have to do this exactly how I'm doing it here, but I saw my friend Matt the Fixer come up with this idea, and I think it really helped cut down on the mess. This is just an old soap bottle that I cut and taped to my shop vac hose to keep the lint from flying everywhere. It's not perfect and was a little clunky, but it helped funnel everything nicely into the shop vac. I just slowly worked the brush through the hose and added more extensions until I hit the dryer itself. In this case, the dryer was running while I did this, but that's not necessary. Of all of the tips I shared, this one was definitely the most challenging, so I'm glad that it only needs to be done once a year. All right, thanks everybody for watching. And if you found any of this information helpful, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button, and I will see you all on the next one.